Assalamu alaikum. Assalamu alaikum. Good evening, everyone. Thank you for joining us today in the first virtual MAS-SSF event. I want to welcome all of you to the event. Again, my name is Tamer Ahmed. I'm the president of the board of directors. I want the best words are the words of God, Allah. So I wanted to kick it over to Brother Arfan Sabir to recite to us from Surah Al-Baqarah. Arfan?
Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. I hope everyone's doing well. My name is Irfan Sabir. I'm currently a junior in high school and I'm a youth advocate for MAS-SSF. And inshallah today I'm going to be reciting from verses 177 from Surah Al-Baqarah. أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم ليس البر أن تولوا وجوهكم قبل المشرق والمغرب ولكن البر من آمن بالله واليوم الآخر والملائكة والكتاب والنبيين وآتى المال على حبه ذوي القربى واليتامى والمساكين وابن السبيل والسائلين وفي الرقاب وأقام الصلاة والموفون بعهدهم إذا عاهدوا والصابرين في البأساء والضراء وحين البأس أولئك الذين صدقوا وأولئك هم المتقون.
That was a beautiful recitation, our friends. Thank you so much. So my dear friends, again, my name is Tamer Ahmed. I'm the president of the board of directors of MAS-SSF. Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim. In the name of God, the merciful, the beneficent. I want to thank all of you for attending. And on behalf of the Muslim American Society, Sacramento Region MAS, and the MAS-SSF, I'm happy to welcome all of you to the first virtual event, Building Family Ties. On behalf of the board of directors, staff, committee members, our peer counselors, our youth leaders, and our wonderful volunteers, I want to thank each and every one of you for making the time to attend the event with us and to show your support to the MAS-SSF. The MAS-SSF was established in 2007, and ever since then, we've been striving to be on the forefront of our community in providing social service needs to our community and supporting them in attaining the well-being of both individuals and families. Whether it's counseling services, whether it's support phone line for the youth, senior activities, youth advocacy program, or educational seminars, the SSF has been doing it all. Alhamdulillah. Glory be to God. Grace be to God. We couldn't be more proud of the efforts of all the individuals that have been part of the SSF. We feel that our work is needed more than ever now, especially during these difficult COVID-19 days. And of course, because of the stresses and anxiety that has been placed on our community because of Islamophobia. I'm especially proud of the steps and the connections that the SSF have taken in order to achieve and build bridges with non-Muslim organizations in Northern California and beyond. The MAS-SSF name now is very popular, alhamdulillah, among other nonprofit organizations, state and local mental health leaders as well. Tonight, we would like to ask for your support. both by spreading the words about the services that the MAS-SSF provides, but also in helping us continue our programs by generously contributing to our show your support in order to continue our services. I would like at this point to invite our executive director, the MAS-SSF, Gulshan Yousafzai, the MAS-SSF executive director, Gulshan Yousafzai. Gulshan has joined the SSF in 2014. She has more than 16 years in the area of mental health, including 5 years advocating as a mental health policy arena. Gulshan strives to represent us and represent the underserved groups, including the Muslim community as well, while advocating for us and the underserved groups as well. Again, thank you so much for supporting us. Thank you so much for attending tonight. Jazakumullah khair, and God bless all of you. I turn it over to Gulshan.
Thank you, Tamer. Thank you, Tamer. Assalamu alaikum and good evening, everyone. My heartfelt thank you to each of you for joining us tonight to show your valuable support for what we do at MAS-SSF. And most importantly, upholding our commitment to keeping families together. And speaking of families, one of our own, nearly 2.5 months ago, there was a fatal shooting that occurred, and the Muslim community suffered a grave loss. And MAS-SSF has been continuously in contact with each of the family members to provide them short-term support while continuing to provide long-term support to ensure that the families have what they need to stay together and feel supported throughout the tragedy and for years to come, inshallah. Keeping the family together is at the core of what we do. So tonight, our theme is building family ties. We have a very engaging and exciting program prepared for you. We hope to demonstrate how much need there is for all of us to come together and support families who are in dire need to sustain and thrive. To make an appeal as to why it's more important than ever to seek services when faced with challenges, but even more critically, to give yourself and your loved ones permission to ask for help right at the onset of any life challenges. To amplify the voices of individuals and the community to the county and the state, because they're here for us, listening, and because it is your civil right. And lastly, to highlight the importance of services that are focused on prevention and early intervention. Tonight, we have speakers who will illustrate how MAS-SSF has been providing and developing services, as well as representing you, your voice at the local, county, and state level, to ensure that there is systematic change to affect policy and funding to be allocated to our underserved community. I will go ahead and start tonight with an overview of MAS-SSF, our programs, our accomplishments for the past year. It is important to note, it's important to point out that all of our programs are focused on two main components: prevention and intervention. To keep families together, we strive to provide educational workshops and trainings to help our community understand why it's important to seek help and advocate tirelessly to have the Muslim voice heard at the local, county, and state level. Both of these efforts encourage the Muslim community to seek preventative services such as our peer counseling, attending our senior events, or calling Amala Helpline, which is our youth support line. So starting out with my just one overview of MAS-SSF in terms of inception and background. MAS-SSF began providing social and mental health services in May of 2007 due to lack of family support and services. Our mission at MAS-SSF is that we are a nonprofit that aim to aid families at large in the Muslim community in particular with the social service needs. While our services are open to all, we focus on the Muslim community because there is no other agency doing this, and there is a high population of Muslims in Sacramento. And our vision is to be at the forefront of social service needs and to support the community in attaining the overall well-being of individuals and families. Next slide. So just like any other nonprofit, we have our board of directors. We have 6 board of directors, also we have our staff. Next slide. We have 10 staff ranging from various ethnicities and various missions for our programs that I'll be covering in a few minutes. All of our programs are offered in the top 5 languages in the Muslim community, and they are Shifa for today, Al-Afia for seniors, Amala Youth Helpline, Community Education, and Muslim Youth Advocacy. Next. Starting out with our first program called Shifa for Today. It's a peer counseling program that started in 2007 and is going very strong to today. In fact, we've developed it very well in this program actually has 42 peer counselors. We have trained them since 2016, and they have gone through 80 hours of training to become state certified, as well as they have monthly ongoing trainings. Our peer counseling program maintains confidentiality and maintains HIPAA compliance. We take confidentiality very serious. We are aware of that our community is not used to going outside of the family to be able to ask for help. But at the same time, given the trauma that they have endured, there is a lack of trust to go outside of the family and ask for help. So for that reason, we do follow the rules of Board of Behavioral Sciences, as well as making sure that when we did have in-person prior to COVID, that we made sure that the counselor and the client who asks for help are the 2 people that see each other and no one else. We have a separate office with a separate door where the client will not run into any other staff. We also, given COVID, we have actually gone forward and provided and launched our telehealth counseling as of March. Next. And over the past year, we've supported over 134 individuals in terms of providing direct services as well as referrals. And so when we are not able to support the community with what they're asking, aside from counseling, since we are well connected to all the area mosques, all the nonprofits, as well as state and local counties, we are able to go ahead and refer them out. What we do though is make sure that we connect them to referrals that understand their background. So there's a cultural competence aspect, make sure that they're able to understand their language, and we try to do a warm handoff. We understand there's a language barrier, so we do our best to make sure that when we refer out, that the client who is reaching out, the community member who's in need, is comfortable before they move ahead from our agency to another agency to get support. And in 2016, we received a 5.5-year contract with the Department of Public Health to develop this program to serve the populations that exist in Sacramento. We have been providing Shifa for Today since 2007, as I said earlier. But as the numbers have increased in Sacramento, we are able to go ahead and now provide peer counseling in 5 languages with a cohort of 42 counselors that we have trained. And as I said earlier, we have also launched our telehealth counseling as of March 2020, which is a HIPAA compliant program. And this is where a community member is able to meet their counselor face-to-face online without worrying about being in contact to maintain social distancing. Next. As I said earlier, we are the only nonprofit that has a team of experts that represent the ethnicities, languages, and cultural and religious competence needed to heal the community. Generally, when you are in pain or you're having challenges in life, the most important part is to feel comfortable. And we do that at MAS-SSF because when you look at our counselors, our staff, our board, our volunteers, they represent the community. They look like the community that is in need. So they are refugees, they're immigrants. And like I said, they speak over actually 10, we represent over 10 languages, but we provide our services in 5, which is English, Arabic, Dari, or Farsi, Pashto, and Urdu. And we also have an evaluation focus for our Shifa for today. And we have developed a curriculum and a training to help Muslims in the US. And in terms of our clinical program, we will be relaunching in 2021. We had this in 2015, and we will start it in 2021 to ensure that when a community member comes in, we have both peer counseling for people who are just at the onset of difficulties, and if they are at that point where they're facing multiple challenges and are clinically diagnosed, we're able to provide that service as well. Next program we have is the community education program. The purpose is to educate and create awareness about why it's important to get help when facing challenges in life. We've have this educational program because we want to make sure that people are aware in the community that it's important to ask for help right when you start to see challenges. We provide many workshops, counseling 101, bullying, parenting and children, and on and on and on. Next. Some of our workshops I like to highlight, we had a Happy Family Day where we worked collaboratively with the REDA, a nonprofit organization that provides social services in Sacramento. And we together offered workshops and training for up to 3,000 new refugees with a collapse of parenting, which is focused on the negative effects of social media on your children, attended by 128 participants. Recently, we had a drug-proof your youth program, registered 97 of our community member, and we continuously have mental health first aid training, which is the training that helps you recognize the early signs of any of your colleagues, family members who are going through challenges. And we equip you with a skill in an 8-hour session to be able to help your family members before it's too late. And then more recently, we are having a pre-adolescent workshop, and not only in English, but also in the 5 languages to help the community understand that while their children are going to pre-adolescent, we want to make sure that these workshops are provided for those of our community members who do not speak English. Next. Because of COVID, community education efforts that we recently made where we launched actually workshops in the 5 languages in terms of how to get back to normal life, how to protect yourself from COVID. And we recruited doctors from the area who represented these communities. And the purpose of this was, we understand there's a wealth of info when it comes to COVID, but they're all in English. We wanted to equip our brothers and sisters who do not understand English because it is important for them to understand how to protect themselves. In addition, we had many videos that we've made to help individuals understand how to protect themselves, but very short videos, again, in 5 languages. Next. And also, we've held 20 workshops and trainings, and we have reached and served over 3,000 people in the past year. We also were awarded a 2-year contract with the County of Sacramento and Cal Mesa with a focus on preventative efforts so we can intervene to support those in need of support. Next. Next, we have our Ramallah Youth Helpline, which is a warm line, a support line for youth to call other youth when they are in need of talking. We provide a safe space 5 nights a week, 6 p.m. to 10 p.m. for you to call other youth that we have trained. We recruited youth who are from the community and trained for over 30 hours on how to be able to listen, how to assess for suicide. And this phone line is available to youth 5 nights a week, 6 p.m. to 10 p.m. for you to call our Amala counselors and talk about anything that they're wanting to need help. They need help in. Next. And recently we started a Muslim youth advocacy program, a 3-year statewide effort along with 15 other nonprofits to recruit youth to advocate and change policy in California. Our hope here is that we get youth from the various ethnicities in our community to learn and build the skills that they need to be able to get up there in front of decision makers in the county and state and say, this is what my problem, this is what I'm going through, these are the difficulties that I'm facing. We want to equip them with the right skills to be able to make those changes in the system and then to have their voice heard. Generally, as you all might know, in policy change, you need community members to speak up. You need youth to speak up. But to speak up first, you need to know how to do this. And we also held a youth town hall in October to help advocate for youth wellness center in the San Juan School District. Since 2014, there has been a huge influx of refugees from Afghanistan, Syria, and Iraq. And so our youth, our Muslim youth, through the Muslim Youth Advocacy Program, is advocating to create a wellness center in the San Juan School District for a place for youth to come from all the mosques and area groups to be able to have a place where they feel safe, where they can ask for resources and get services and resources that understand them and who they are and speak their language. And lastly, our program, Al-Afia for seniors. This program is to prevent depression, anxiety, isolation of seniors by providing educational workshops and social activities. And because of COVID, what we've done is we've opened up a senior hotline in collaboration with the Folsom Mosque to be able to provide space for seniors to reach out to volunteers in the community, whether they need help with their medication pickup or any of this support. We understand our seniors need more support from the community, so this hotline is there to serve them. And lastly, in terms of Al-Afia, our goal has been to provide senior days, where we used to have 5-hour programs where we started with educational workshops as well as social activities. However, with COVID coming on, we've switched to monthly live webinars, and we've been having workshops on immigration, on health directives. We had a celebration for Eid, as well as how to protect them from coronavirus. And so we continue to have these workshops for the seniors to ensure that they're connected to the community and are able to go ahead and feel that they are connected to the Muslim community. So now we're going to go ahead and hear from two of our senior community members who are recipients of the Al-Afia program for the past 4 years.
Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. My name is Mukhtar Hussain. I am member of Al-Afia, and I also admin of MCF Senior Forum. Yes, I am attending the Al-Afia program for the last 3 years. We are able to get together and share the bonds of brotherhood. We are just like a family members. And they are very, very much active programs, and they provide us knowledge about medical services, about how to get medicine when you are sitting at home, and also any type of support seniors get from the official sources. MAS-SSF has been a ray of light which can't be extinguished. As it is said, a ray of light cannot be extinguished by the darkness of the world. So it has helped me for alleviation of depressions. People should support and donate to MAS-SSF so they can continue to help solve the social and psychological issues of our adults and remove the loneliness and depression from our seniors. MAS-SSF brings engaging experts and professionals to educate the community, To continue these valuable and useful services, financial support with generous donations is much needed and appreciated, please.
My name is Kulsum Kewal. I was born in Kenya, and then I went to Ethiopia. I stayed there for 30 years. I have 5 children, 3 boys and 2 girls. They are all married, they are all here. It means a lot to me because there is no Muslim community getting together, and Al-Afia, they bring a speaker and they talk about mental issues and our exercise, and we learn so much from them. Then we have get together and we talk to people, and I love it. You know, if we are alone in the house, we think so many things comes in our mind. But when we are together, we forget all these things, and we feel so happy to get out of the house and meet people, talk about everything and their children mostly. I like to see in future that we have a Muslim seniors center where we can go and meet each other. I went to so many senior centers, but you know, it's different. They bring good speakers there, and I really enjoy listening to them, and they talk about our health, our mental issues, and we have fun and exercise. They teach us exercise, what to do, seniors, for the exercise, and we have fun playing games. Yeah, and when we win prizes, we really enjoy that.
Thank you, Brother Mukhtar and Sister Hosam, for your heartwarming and fascinating testimonials. Without your support, this program would not be possible. I would like to now introduce our first speaker of this evening, Lisa St. George, who is a consultant advisor for Shifa for Today peer counseling program. Lisa is also the vice president, of peer support and empowerment. She has been instrumental in the planning, development, and startup of a wide range of peer-run programs since September of 2000. An expert in developing recovery-focused behavioral settings. She has also provided trainings, consultation, and program development for behavioral health systems as far as the United Kingdom and New Zealand. Lisa has an unending belief in the intrinsic courage, wisdom, and strength of people served by behavioral health system. A social worker for 34 years, her career path has included childhood oncology, child protection and welfare, family wellness, and teaching at the Arizona State University School of Social Work. She has written books, articles, and developed many tools that support health. She shares her lived experience in education in a way that inspires hope in people as well as systems of care. With that, I would love to introduce Lisa to speak to us tonight. Thank you, Lisa.
Thank you, Gulshan. Assalamu alaikum. I'm so happy to be here with you this evening. Rahman Rahim. MAS-SSF is a unique organization, and I've had the wonderful experience of working with MAS-SSF for 4 years now. And I have watched this team work very hard over the years to support the Muslim community. In 2016, I met MAS-SSF for the first time when the organization I worked for provided a training for peer counselors. We trained the first wonderful group of individuals to become peer support specialists or peer counselors, and have provided additional training since then. Peer support specialists are individuals who have undergone extensive training and who receive continuing education every month in the skills for effective helping, how to assist families who are in crisis, and how to help families in need who may be experiencing trauma or have encountered life challenges like illness, divorce, sadness, grief, loss. We know that our Muslim community is suffering in many places around the world, and that many in our community have come to the United States seeking safety as refugees from places like Syria, Afghanistan, Iraq, Myanmar, Somalia, Bosnia, and China, to name a few. Moving to a new country in the best circumstances can be really difficult. But when we have experienced war, ethnic cleansing, displacement, and loss, entering a new country is made even more difficult. Due to the unique cultures within our great ummah, we need a large group of people speaking many languages to be able to provide the best services possible. MAS-SSF has built this team, and they use peer support specialists who are from your community, who speak the languages that you guys need, and who have experienced similar life events. These individuals have undergone 80 hours of training and an additional 32 hours of culturally specific training. And this training helped them to understand the practices and skills needed to support individuals and families. You might be surprised to know that many of the practices in use today in psychology, social work, counseling, and other healthcare practices have grown out of work done long ago by Muslim scholars and doctors. Muslims like Muhammad ibn Zakaria al-Razi, who lived in the 8th century, and he was the director of the first hospital meant to help people psychologically. Additionally, Abu Ali al-Hussein ibn Abdullah ibn Sina lived in the 9th century, and he wrote a very famous book called Al-Kunun fil Tib, or the Canon of Medicine. This book contained information about strokes, insomnia, depression, and more. In addition, Abu Zayd al-Bahi lived in the 8th century, and he developed a theory that said that talking with people when they are upset is helpful. And he laid the groundwork for talk therapy practices in use today by every psychiatrist, psychologist, and counselors the world over. As Muslims, we have a great understanding and heritage of knowing how to help people with challenges. And we have developed some of the earliest tools for helping. And in fact, we are guided through the Quran and the Hadith to be helpful to each other. Yet, we often hesitate to ask for help. We want to appear strong. We don't want to talk about challenges in our families. Yet, we are given specific guidance to speak to trusted companions when we're troubled. And we are guided to keep the things that people share with us confidential. But sometimes we wait too long. We wait until things are very difficult to manage ourselves, and then we seek help. But MAS-SSF is building a foundation for us of safety and privacy for seeking help early and preventing the problems from becoming too big to manage ourselves. We are guided to tether our camel first and then pray. This guidance is telling us to act in ways that can create the best outcomes for ourselves and our families if we take care to prevent difficulties that are preventable. And when challenges arise that are not preventable, we can get help and support so we do not have to carry these heavy loads ourselves all alone. When one in our ummah hurts, we all hurt. And Hadith says in the parable of the believers in their affection, mercy, and compassion for each other is that of a body. When any limb aches, the whole body reacts with sleeplessness and fever. And that's from Bukhari. And that means that when one of us is troubled, our whole ummah suffers. We must help each other on this journey through life. In addition, MAS-SSF counselors have been informed in Islamic context how to provide Islamically guided support. They are trained to understand the guidance from Quran and Hadith and how that guidance can help their work. Islam and Muslims laid the foundation for many healthcare practices being used today. For all of our ills, Allah has provided a cure. And sometimes that cure can come in the form of help from one person to another. Sometimes kindness, compassion, and caring are the best medicine there is. MAS-SSF peer support counselors are prepared to be that kind of support through difficult times. Rest assured that your information will be held as confidential unless you are in danger or are a danger to others, so that you can feel confident and talk about what will help you and know that it will stay with the counselors at MAS-SSF. Peer support specialists are part of the intervention work that MAS-SSF provides. You know, there is a hadith that says the believers are like a building. They support and strengthen each other. As we learn to trust and lean upon each other, the structure of the entire Ummah will be strengthened. MAS-SSF can help. MAS-SSF works on community and family wellness. They also do this with prevention by providing education and services to help increase the community's knowledge. And we just learned about that from real people who've been helped by these services. They hold workshops and trainings to increase our knowledge. And this is an important part of being a Muslim. We are asked as men and women to go to the ends of the earth to seek knowledge. MAS-SSF is here to help build community knowledge about healthcare, parenting, and about young people navigating their lives as they reach adulthood, and more. All of it is provided in an Islamic context. MAS-SSF should be supported because it is the only nonprofit serving the Muslim community with mental health and family support services. Currently, there are 42 highly trained peer counselors representing all ethnicities in the community. Without MAS-SSF, families will not have a place to turn to for help that has the cultural, linguistic, and religious competence, as well as professional expertise to provide help. In addition, MAS-SSF has trained non-Muslim counselors for individuals who need the cultural and linguistic understanding that only can be provided by someone who has the same background and heritage as non-Muslims in the countries where our community comes from. Thank you so much for your time today. Please donate generously to MAS-SSF. As Muslims, when we give, we are returned with 70 times the blessings for whatever we give. In fact, if we are afraid to give, our reward will be even greater. I want to tell you that it's been a great pleasure speaking with you today, and Hiba will be talking with you next, and she's one of our great trained peer counselors, mashallah, and she's received extensive training that has the life experience and cultural understanding to serve the community. Jazakallah khair and salamu alaikum.
I am Hiba Al-Adli. I'm a peer counselor with MAS-SSF since 2018, early 2018. So it's almost been more than 2.5 years. People supporting MAS-SSF. We will, if we have more money, we'll be able to have hired peer counselors, even part-time or full-time in different languages. This is really needed. So if we have a few hired, part-time even, peer counselors with different language, this would be wonderful. The main goal of MAS-SSF to keep families together. And this hiring more counselor will help to lead to that, to have the families together. And we are the only agency who offers this kind of service in the Sacramento area. I don't think anybody else have this service or this professionalism of the people. All the 42 peer counselors we have right now trained 80 hours just to become peer counselors. This year alone, we got trained for over 60 hours on suicide and Islamic peer counselor, how to deal with Islamic peer counselor. We have a training every single month for more than 2 to 3 hours. So I had over 200 hours, or 250 hours actually, of training, of professional training to do what I'm doing.
Thank you, Lisa, for that informative and thought-provoking talk. As you can see from our peer counselor, Heba, we ensure that our peer counselors are certified by taking 80 hours of training and continue to develop their skills by taking training monthly so that they can continue to help our community with their needs. As Lisa alluded to, as well as Heba, we have 42 peer counselors who we have recruited since 2016. And they are all trained and ready to serve the community. They represent all the ethnicities that are currently in our community, and they are Muslim as well as non-Muslim. And as you can see, this is an extremely huge accomplishment for MAS-SSF and for the Muslim community. However, at this point, we are able to only hire 3 of those 42 peer counselors and part-time. So it is critical that the community understands and sees that there is so much need in the community, and to be able to support the community, to help them, we need to hire more peer counselors. Generally, when we get individuals that call us to ask for help, it will be from various backgrounds with various languages. And so to be able to provide them that support, we need to have peer counselors who are hired and paid to be able to help them. An individual who asks for help is usually going to open up and access services when they see that there's individuals who speak their language and are from their background. Currently, the 3 part-time peer counselors are able to only represent 2 ethnicities. And clearly, we have much more than that. So I would like to just thank you for a moment right now for the donations, generous donations that you have made so far. We have collected 7,200 tonight, 7,200. But clearly, we need more donations. If you could please reach out, there's a link on the screen for you, and you could go to this link and donate and through the various portals that we have available. You can also call us and directly at the office, and we have staff ready to run your donations. The website is www.mas-ssf.org/family, and the phone number 916-486-8626. Thank you. Thank you for your generous donations, and we look forward to receiving more support from you. The next speaker for this evening will be Imam Wahid from Masjid Tawheed, followed by a testimonial from one of our longtime clients who have received services from MAS-SSF for the last 3 years. With that, I would like to introduce Imam Saeed Wahid Ahmad Zada, who was born and raised in Afghanistan, studied at the International Islamic University of Islamabad, Pakistan, and has a BA in Usul al-Din Islamic Studies, specialization in Dawa, and a master's in Usul al-Din, specialization in comparative religions, and also wrote a thesis on the Gospel of Barnabas. He's also working as a community worker, preacher, and imam in the northern region for several years. And in Sacramento, he is teaching Islamic studies at Al-Afia Islamic School in College Preparatory in Sacramento. He's an imam at the Masjid Tawheed here in El Grove. And with that, I would like to welcome Imam Wahid.
بسم الله الحمد لله والصلاة والسلام على رسول الله وبعد أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم يا أيها الناس اتقوا ربكم الذي خلقكم من نفس واحدة وخلق منها زوجها وبث منهما رجالا كثيرا ونساء واتقوا الله الذي تساءلون به والأرحام إن الله كان عليكم رقيبا وبعد My dear brothers and sisters, Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh, and good evening to everybody. And we are starting this program. This is a fundraiser by Mass Social Service Foundation. So this program is titled Maintaining or Building Family Ties, which is very important topic and title. So I would like to address this title, the importance of family in Islam. And then from that, I will also talk about Afghan or Muslim families in the United States, and especially in Sacramento area, and also those services that are needed for these families. And these services are offered by organizations such as Mass Social Service Foundation. So please bear with me, and there might be some points that need more elaboration or points that we need to focus. So in the beginning, that I would like to say that last week we had Thanksgiving, and Thanksgiving in America, and especially as one of our scholars said, Thanksgiving in America is America as its best. So when we say that America at Thanksgiving is America as its best, so giving thanks to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, especially toward the Creator, that is something that we really need to do. And not only that, we also have to give thanks to those people that they are offering services. So we are offering our thanks and gratitude to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, as Allah told the family, the prophet family of David or Dawood, اعملوا آل داوود شكرا. So the family of Dawood was actually to exercise thanks or exercise gratitude. So gratitude is something very important, and most of the people, they don't do it. As Allah said, وَقَلِيلٌ مِّنْ عِبَادِيَ الشَّكُورِ. So first and foremost, we do offer and pay our gratitude to Allah, the Creator, that who created us and who bestowed the families on us, who bestowed us with the families, and who bestowed us with the community that we are living, and bestowed it with the institutions that we are enjoying their services in this area. So second thing, that not only that we are thanking Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala for the families, but we are also thanking Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala for the preserving, ordering to preserve or to maintain the ties of the kinship, the ties of the family. As we see it in the Quran, that mainly in the Quran, the rights of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, and after the rights of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is the rights of the family. وَاتَّقُوا اللَّهَ الَّذِي تَسَاءَلُونَ بِهِ وَالْأَرْحَامِ. So fear Allah, the one that you are asking your mutual rights through Him, and also fear your ties of kinship. Means fearing your ties of kinship, not to cut the ties of kinship, but to maintain the ties of kinship. In the family, Rahim, Al-Arham, is taken from the word womb, Rahim. So Rahim means womb. It means those people who are related to you through the womb of your mother or through your parents. So these people has rights upon you. And also Rahim is the root word Rahma, which is the name of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, Ar-Rahman or Ar-Rahim. So mercy. So you should show mercy and love towards the family members, towards the other people. So we would like to, inshallah, look at the families, that how it's important in Islam, that Islam ordered us, Ya ayyuhalladhina amanu qu anfusakum, save yourself and save your families. قُوا أَنفُسَكُمْ وَأَهْلِيكُمْ نَارًا. Save yourself and your family of the hellfire. So this is something that we need to take care of, and we need to take care of our family. If there's anything that we could do, we have to maintain these ties of kinship with our family members. And also that if we see that usra or family in Arabic is called usra because it means strength. It's strength. So a person is strengthened by his family, by his member of the family. So that's why it's called usra. And there are some goals and objectives and purpose of usra in Islam, or the family in Islam. So first, there are some religious objectives of the family. And that religious objective of the family is because to constitute and form a family, that is an act of worship. because Allah commanded us. Allah commanded us to constitute and to form a family through marriage or through lineage. So that is an act of worship by itself. That's a religious purpose. And also, there is other goals, that it is moral goal of the family. So family aims, Muslim family aims to correct behavior. Thus the aim of the family is to correct the behavior in morals and avoid vices and moral decays. So all these behaviors which are not according to the code of the conduct, we have to avoid those. And to correct the behavior, this is one of the real objective of the family in Islam. And also there is social objective of the family in Islam. Socially, to spread love and mercy among the members of the family. Among the members of the family, that is the social objectives of a family in Islam. And also the health goal of the family, to create a healthy family to protect society from contracting diseases, to protect the society from contracting diseases, and also result from forbidden contacts. So a family in Islam is a healthy family, a moral family, a social one, and a religious one, which makes very important in Islam that we need to take care of our families. So as we say, the types of family, and there are different types of family according to the sociologists, the scholars of sociology, that they did classify this the family as one nuclear family, the family of traditional family, and also single parent family, extended family, and also childless family, and different types of family. But when we are talking about a family, they are really Islamically, there are three types of family. One is a bigger picture, and the bigger picture, the human family. That as Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala said, Ya ayyuhan nasu inna khalaqnakum min dhakarin wa untha. O people, I have created you from one male and female. And then from male and female, that everybody is created. So everybody is belong to that couple, and that is the family, human family. And also there's another type of family that's based on faith. Innamal mu'minuna ikhwa. So faith-based families. And also there's another family, lineage or blood-based families. So those are the families that constituted through the marriage or through the family. Traditionally, we know that. When they were in Afghanistan for 40 years, that these people, they born in war, they were raised in war, they were educated in war, and they were also working in war zone. So those people, when they came to the United States, that people might think that their issues and their problems solved, and they are here and they have no problems. That's not true. Every society has their own issues and challenges. Here in America, those families, yes, of course, they are living in peace and security. They are sort of financially, they are taken care of, or health-wise, they are taken care of, or food-wise and shelter-wise, they might have no issues, and they have peace of mind that there is no explosion, and if they went out in the morning, they will come back safely nighttime. That was something they were missing in Afghanistan. But they have their own challenges. The challenges that they are facing here in this country for their families, for their kids, and that is a huge challenge. And that's why when you see that these people or other people who lived in 40 years, and they have endured 40 years of uninterrupted war. So due to this suffering from they are suffering extremely from high rate of PTSD, which is post-trauma stress disorder, and a lot of illness, mental illness, and also substance abuse. And some research shows that those negative effects make people more violent towards each other. And as a result, violence can become normalized as a legitimate means of problem solving and goal achievement. So the environment that they live now, in this environment, so adjustment in this environment is very difficult for them. So that's why we have a lot of issues and these issues are coming to us, and day and night, and into our centers, our religious center, our masjid, our mosque, that we see that there are how to adjust themselves in new environment. And the second thing, that the more concerned our families is their future generation, their kids. When their kids are raised here, how they will be raised? Do they keep their identity? That is very important for the families. Do these kids could adjust themselves and resist the peer pressure that in high school or the communities that they are attending the schools in the colleges? So this is important for the families. And because these families, as I said, they keep their tradition, and based on the tradition and health reason and social reasons, they need a lot of help to accommodate themselves or accommodate others of their family members. And this, we see youth here, they're not adhering to the same code of conduct. So in this case, we need a lot of services. The services that to offer counseling for our youth, for our families. And there are a lot of issues in the families, and there are a lot of financial issues, there are a lot of social issues, and those issues should be addressed by some professionals, some counselors, and some doctors, and some others, that they are going to offer these services under the umbrella of like MAS Social Service Foundation or other organization. But here we are specifically talking about this organization. So as a community member, so as a human community or Muslim community or Afghan community, so we need to support these efforts. We need to support this organization. And that to support this organization, we have to thank them from the bottom of our heart what they're doing. And we also contribute and encourage them financially and morally encourage them. And that is very much Islamic, to encourage someone for doing good. So we are encouraging them. And the Prophet ﷺ said that when someone did good to you, that you try to reward that one. You got to compensate it. If you cannot compensate that person, then you should praise that person. If you praise it, indeed you thank that person. So we need to praise these people. We need to encourage these people. We need to contribute to these people to increase these services, the services they are offering to the Muslims and to the Afghan families. And these families are in desperate need of this help. And it's not only one person or one member of the family, the whole family as a family, the youth, the elderly, and the institution of marriage, and all these are in need of protection and preservation and maintenance. So that was our appeal, an appeal of the MAS Social Service Foundation, for everybody to come forward and help to increase these services and to make these people who ran away, who came out of those difficult situations, to have an environment, safe environment for their families and for their kids. وجزاكم الله خيرا وصلى الله تعالى على خير خلق محمد وعلى آله وصحبه أجمعين برحمتك الرحمن.
Hi, my name is Pishtana and I'm 21 years old. I received the counseling services through MAS-SSF. MAS-SSF helped me to be a better person in life. They encouraged me to continue my education in college, and currently I am a student in college and majoring in political science and pre-law. I think people should support counseling program because, you know, especially the young generation like me, they're suffering from you know, the career pressure, the pressure that their family put on them, the pressure that the world puts on them, and the fact that they are really young to compete with the world, and they're struggling with the career, with the study, with family problems, with life problems, and at their age, it's like nobody teaches them to handle those things. And I think peer counseling and counseling, I think the fact that a lot of people that come from different countries and they struggle with the culture differences, and so the therapists, they really help, to maintain that change and to help families and individuals cope with that.
MAS-SSF is connected to all the area mosques, and so we are grateful to have Imam Wahid as one of the area imams who refers out to us, who's always there for us and understands truly the needs of the refugee community. I would like to also thank Pashtana for her thoughts on how MAS-SSF is able to support the refugee community, especially youth, given the influx of refugees that we've had since 2014. We are in great need of your support to provide services that we have developed to be able to help them transition as well as live a well-balanced life. Thank you, Imam Wahid and Pashtana. Now, I would like to take a moment to talk about our keynote speaker of the evening, Imam Siraj Wahaj. We are grateful to have you with us tonight. I know everyone's waiting and anticipation for the Imam Siraj, but before I officially introduce him, I would like to thank him for his long-standing support to our parent organization, MAS, throughout all the years. Imam Siraj Wahaj is a globally recognized Islamic leader with over 40 years experience of sharing riveting messages that have sparked the minds and inspired the soul. His messages are rooted in hope, faith, and the power of redemption. Imam Siraj currently is the Imam of Masjid Al-Taqwa in Brooklyn, New York, accepted Islam in 1969. He received an Imam training at Qura University of Mecca in 1978 and has gone on to become a national and international speaker on Islam. Imam Wahaj has been the vice president of ISNA US since 1997 and has served on Majlis Ashura since 1987. He is a past member of Business Planning Committee and has served as a member of the Board of Advisors for NATE from 1989 to 1993. He's also a member of the Board of Advisors for the American Muslim Council. Imam Wahaj has appeared on several national television talks and interviews, especially about his anti-drug campaigns. He received high praises from the media and the NYPD for initiating anti-drug patrol in Brooklyn, New York in 1988. Amongst many other achievements, Imam Wahaj was the first person to give an Islamic invocation to the United States Congress. Imam Siraj is originally from New York, and the masjid is an imam at the Masjid Taqwa in New York, which is and he's well known among Muslims in North America as a dynamic speaker and tireless supporter of Islamic causes. With that, I have the great pleasure to ask Imam Siraj to please address our community tonight. Thank you, Imam.
Thank you so much. Alhamdulillah. Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam. We ask Allah the Almighty to bless our wonderful efforts tonight. I want to say this, and I've gone on record. I'm just learning recently about the Social Service Foundation. Of course, I've known about MAS forever. I am a tremendous believer in MAS and the great work that they do. And I am not surprised that they are trailblazers in this effort to work together with MAS and the Social Service Foundation. I hope tonight to give a compelling reason why we should donate tonight. And I don't mean just a couple of dollars. You know, I've come to the conclusion a long time ago that usually when people know better, they do better. They do. I remember once there was a prophet that was beaten by his people so much that he began to bleed, and he wiped the blood from his face and said, Allahumma ikfir li qawmi fa innahum la ya'lamun. Oh Allah, forgive my people because they don't know. And I think that many people, they don't know, they don't appreciate the work that SSF does, of course, with MAS. And I would like to give a compelling reason tonight for a few moments why we should donate really generously. And I mean, when I say generously, I mean really people giving $10,000, $5,000, $2,500, and things like that. Most people understand about suicide, that this country has about 49,000 suicides a year. Many people may know that, but maybe fewer people realize that while there are like almost 49,000 suicides, there's about 1,300,000 attempted suicides. And when you look at suicides around the world, it is shocking. I'm going to tell you something that happened about 2 years ago. Some of you may have read about it. And I'm going to tell you, and some of you are not going to believe me. You're going to say, Imam, you're making it up. So I assure you that I'm not making it up. About 2 years ago in Kansas City, a 71-year-old man walks in the bank and he hands the teller a note saying, I have a gun. Put money in the bag. And the teller put about $3,000 in the bag. And that man, instead of walking out of the bank, he goes into the lobby of the bank. He sits down. Within minutes, the police come. And you can anticipate they would come because the precinct is less than half a block from the bank. And so when the police come, he says to the police, I'm the man you're looking for. And he hands them the bag with the $3,000. They searched him, no gun. So they arrested him, brought him to the judge. And the judge said, this is strange. This is no bank robbery. You didn't have a gun. You gave the money back. Why did you do it? You know what he said? He says, Your Honor, I'd rather go to jail than spend one more night with my wife. A true story. And you may want to chuckle. And so, the judge sentenced him. And you know that whenever you commit a crime, it should be, the punishment should be suitable to the crime. So that judge gave that 71-year-old man 6 months home confinement. Isn't that interesting? Home confinement. And for the record, him and his wife reconciled. What you don't know, most people don't know, they didn't really get the full details. What really caused that man to do that? He wasn't tired of his wife. They've been married many years, but he was going through depression. All of that was caused by depression. The Muslim community, I have to admit it, I know, I travel around the country, I travel around the world, and I found out that Muslims are very generous. I'll give you an idea. About a year and a half ago, I did a fundraiser for a Muslim school in Memphis, Tennessee. And that night, we raised something like $950,000. I think 3 people gave $100,000 apiece. A number of people gave $50,000, and maybe 8 or 9 people gave $25,000. So they're people because they understood Islamic education. A few weeks ago, I was in Brooklyn in a masjid called Masjid Mus'ab ibn Amir. They were raising money for a masjid, the church that they bought, and they want to turn it into an Islamic center. I never forget. This was in person a couple weeks ago. We raised over $850,000. So when you go around the country, you see Muslims raising money for masjids, and they should, for schools, and they should, for relief. I've done a number of fundraisers where we raise money for relief. And tonight, we did a fundraiser for the Rohingya refugees. We've done fundraisers for those brothers and sisters who suffer in Palestine and Yemen and all over the globe. So people understand that. Now Muslims are also raising money for political ends. So we do well when people begin to understand and they know better, they do better. One of the things that we don't know enough about is mental health. And let me tell you something. I am your supporter. I support what you're doing. Anything that MAS does, anything, they have proven themselves to be committed, dedicated, and growing. So I'm saying again, I want to reiterate, MAS-SS, MAS-SS services, it is a wonderful organization, and it's something that needs to be supported. I think when I was introduced, someone mentioned about being a man of hope. It's interesting that you say that, because one of my favorite books is a book called The Gardens of the Righteous, Riyadh al-Salihin. And one of my favorite chapters is the 51st chapter. You know what it's called? Babu Raja, the chapter of hope. And we have to be people of hope. And I would like to leave you with some hope. The Prophet, peace and blessing be upon him, was talking to his companions. He said, Arju an takuna nisfa ahlul Jannah. I hope that you will be one half of the people of Jannah. And there are some prophets who came who had a lot of followers. Some had a handful of followers. Some had one or two. Some prophets had no followers at all. And he said, Arju an takunu nisfa ahlul Jannah. I hope that you will be 1/3 of the people of Jannah. So I'd like to give you a couple of things that should give you some hope. Because now we have to move into another dimension. We have to continue doing what we're doing, continue building masjids, continue supporting Islamic education, continue in our relief work all over the world, and continue all those good things that we do, but add mental health to the list. One thing that I try to do, I try to stay in my lane. Most of you know what that means. You tell people, stay in your lane. Stay in your lane. Imam Siraj tries to stay in his lane. A few weeks ago, I was in my office, and during this pandemic, the masjid is not full the way it used to be. And so the security brother said, Imam, there is a sister who drove from Connecticut. She insists on seeing you. So I brought the sister in, and you can see she was having a real difficult time. She said, Imam, I drove all the way from Connecticut to speak to you. She had a really difficult time. It just so happens that Masjid al-Taqwa partnership with Muslim psychologists, and we refer people. And I referred her to him. And mashallah, afterwards she said, Imam, that was so beneficial, so grateful. Surely that's not going to end the problem, but it's a start, because I knew where to go. Let me tell you something about our Prophet, peace and blessing be upon him. I'm almost finished, by the way. But I want some money. You gotta give some money. I want to see some of those big numbers. Really be honest with your brothers and sisters. Whatever you give tonight, we're thankful. And I get it. We'll grow. But next year will be even more. And the year after that will be more. Because that's the way it usually is. We take a moment when people are digesting, getting to understand and appreciate what's being done. You'll see that they'll donate more. But let me tell you something about our Prophet, peace and blessing be upon him, profound. Talking about staying in your own lane. When the Prophet moved to Medina, alayhi salatu wasalam, he noticed that the people were pollinating date palm trees. And he said, well, what are you doing? He said, Ya Rasulullah, when we do this like that, we get a better outcome, get more fruit. The Prophet said, maybe it's better not to do it. So they stopped. And when the crops came, they were almost ruined. And said, Ya Rasulullah, look what happened. And the Prophet, peace and blessing be upon him, said something profound. He said, Innama ana bashar. I'm only a human being. إِذَا أَمَرْتُكُمْ بِشَيْءٍ مِّن دِينِكُمْ فَخُذُوا بِهِ. And when I order you to do something of your religion, do it. وَإِنَّمَا أَنَا بَشَرٌ. And when I order you to do something, إِذَا أَمَرْتُكُمْ بِشَيْءٍ مِّن رَأْيِي فَإِنَّمَا أَنَا بَشَرٌ. And when I order you to do something of my own personal opinion, then I'm only human. Imams are human too. I realize that Allah has blessed me with some knowledge of Quran, some knowledge of the Sunnah, they don't have knowledge of that, psychology and the mentality. And so I like to refer to those who do. Let me give you the good news. SubhanAllah, a couple of things. And I think I heard one of the sisters mention this particular hadith, and it's a hadith that really gives hope. The Prophet, peace and blessing be upon him, said, مَا أَنزَلَ اللَّهُ دَاعٍ إِلَّا أَنزَلَهُ شَفَاءٌ. There's no disease without a cure. I don't care what kind of disease it is, even mental disease. You have to believe that there's going to be a cure. Let me tell you what one of the companions, he said, Muawiyah. And he said something very interesting. Muawiyah, he said, لا حكيم إلا ذو تجربة. There's no real wisdom without experience. I've been around this planet more than a half a century. So if you be around long enough, you learn a few things, right? But that word ذو تجربة has two meanings. Number one, it means experience. Number two, it means experimentation. There's no wisdom without experiments. And this comes to the third point I'm going to make, and then I'm going to ask you for some serious money. And they're going to let me know. In fact, by the way, many people, we call each other the brothers. We say brother Imam Saraj. Some of the Shabab, the youngsters, say Uncle Saraj. But now they're not necessarily calling me a brother Saraj or Uncle Saraj. A lot of the, no, I don't say a lot, but a number of the youth are calling me Grandpa Saraj. So this is a really significant hadith, and it's a hint. It's a hint. The Prophet, he says, alayhi salatu wasalam, and listen, because you see, you appreciate it more. The pen is lifted in three cases. The pen is lifted in three cases. Meaning the person not held responsible, not accountable. Number one, the person who sleep until they wake up. So you sleep, and some people walk in their sleep. And you can't charge a person with a crime if they do something when they are really sleeping. Number one, a person who is asleep until they wake up. Number two, a person who is a baby, a child, until they become of age. So you can't charge a little baby with a crime until they come to understand. And the third one is interesting, which gives a lot of hope. A person is majnoon, and you can translate majnoon as insane, and there may be some more, and our scholars and our helpers who will teach us maybe the better word to say, but we know it as being majnoon. A person who's majnoon is not responsible. Hatta ta'kilu, hatta yakula, until they become sane. So that means that, like other diseases, inshallah, there's a cure. We will find a cure for it. All those things that happen, because this is the way Allah created the human beings to experiment. And what that means, to be honest with you, to do experimenting, we need money. We need money in everything we do. I'm telling you, even people who want you to do bad things spend money. The cigarette industry spends over $9 billion a year advertising their product. $10 billion advertising alcohol to get people to work toward their, not toward their best interests. So tonight I'm asking you to please donate generously. They're going to let me know. In fact, you can split the screen right now and let me know money coming in. And you know what? It's impossible to outdo Allah in anything you do. If you do it for him, just the way you donate for a masjid, this the same way you donated for relief, the same way you donate for schools, and all the things that you donate for, you do it for Allah. Same way here. I want to see us, to really raise serious money, and really Allah, he tells us, we are blessed because I don't care how bad your situation is, there's always someone worse. When I looked at those refugees today and I look at the people all over the world that are suffering, and I said, SubhanAllah, look how Allah has blessed us. So he mentions in Quran, Alladina yunfikuna fi sarai wa darai, those who spend in difficulty and in ease. Before this pandemic, there are people doing very well. Even some athletes now did worse as a result of the pandemic. That we realize that Allah is in charge of everything. So even we're tested. Everything is a test. Inna likuli ummatin fitna wa fitnatu ummatil mal, the Prophet said. Every nation had a test, and the test of my ummah is money. Money. Both a lot and a little bit. Person has a lot of wealth and they feel themselves self-sufficient, and sometimes they become stingy. But when you look at the Prophet alayhi salatu wasalam, kana Rasulullahi sallallahu alaihi wasallam ajwad an-nas, he was the most generous of people. And how could you be such a man like him who never said no? Whenever he was asked, he never said no. And when the Prophet, peace and blessing be upon him, when he died, you know how much wealth he had left? He had his white donkey, his sword, and some land that he left in Sadaqah. He said, we prophets are not inherited. What we leave behind is Sadaqah. So the Prophet did not accumulate a whole lot of stuff, but we do. Finally, I'm going to leave you with this. Sister mentioned that I studied at Qura University, at that Abdulaziz University in Mecca. But you know what university I went to? New York University. And you know what my major was? Math. I studied every kind of math that you can imagine. Geometry, trigonometry, calculus, advanced calculus, and all of that. I loved math. When I was a young boy, my entertainment was to get difficult math problems and try to figure them out. And when I first became a Muslim in 1969, some of the elders said to me, when they found out that I was a math major, said, you're going to be a good Muslim because Islam is mathematics and mathematics is Islam. Well, I don't know about that, but I tell you this, when I became a Muslim, I learned some new mathematics. And I'm going to leave you with this new mathematics that I learned, and you also learned it. But I want to see if you really appreciate it. Two things the Prophet said. Number one, famous hadith, you hear every fundraiser, but do you believe it? Ma naqasa malu abdin min sadaqah. Wealth is never diminished by giving sadaqah. You say, Imam, that doesn't make sense. The mathematics is not right. If you subtract, you're going to get less. Not the same, not more. But I'm here to say the Prophet, peace and blessings be upon him, said it, and I believe it. I bear witness. I do it. Every time I give, I get more. Alhamdulillah. And you get to a point that you do this for Allah, and you don't even look back. I remember it wasn't until 1975 when we really made a complete conversion to Islam that I realized that I had to pray. We used to pray, but not like the Prophet. The Prophet says, Sallu kama ra'aytumuni usalli, pray as you see me pray. So it wasn't until 1975 that I began to pray like the Prophet prayed, peace and blessing be upon him. You know what I discovered recently? I said, well, Saraj, how many prayers have you made since you really came fully into Islam? Found that I prayed over 83,000 prayers. 83,000 prayers. I have now fasted for 45 years, never missed a date. 45 years. 6 times making pilgrimage to Mecca. And I'm truly grateful to Allah the Almighty for having guided me to Islam. You know, and so therefore I want to give back. I want to give more. Listen to this math, and wallahi, it's true. The Prophet said, "Yaqulu ibn Adam, mali, mali." The children of Adam, they say, "My wealth, my wealth." Really? Really? Oh son, daughter of Adam, your wealth? Listen to what he said. He said, what's really yours is what you eat and consume, what you wear and wear out. That's yours. But only, Imam, I have a closet full of clothes. They're not yours. I'm going to prove to you that the Prophet, peace and blessing be upon him, was right. And he said, what you spend in sadaqah, that's yours. It's true. How do I know it? Let me give you one proof. You know, every year I read this magazine called Forbes 400. Some of the richest people in the world. 400 richest people. In America, some of the richest people in the world. And last year, 5 people on that list are not on the list this year because they died. I'm just going to give you one of them, David Koch. You know how much wealth he left behind? $56,300,000,000. $56,300,000,000. He was saying, Mali, Mali, my wealth, my wealth. Really? 3 things follow the dead person: their wealth, their family, and their deeds. Their wealth and their family, they go back. And the only thing they have is their deeds. So you know what? You don't want to be caught with a whole lot of money, and unless you punt it to your heirs and let them spend when you could have spent to build a masjid, to build a library, you know, to do a lot of good, and to donate for mental health, donate to Social Service Foundation. I don't know if you remember Marcos, Emilda, I think her name was, from Philippines. Years ago, she spent a lot of money on shoes. She had 3,000 pairs of shoes. And what happened when they went and they went in exile, left Philippines, and she left behind some, I think, 500 gowns, 888 handbags, and over 3,000 pairs of shoes. She was saying, my shoes, my shoes. Think about this. Think about if you're blessed to own your house. For sure, one day that house won't belong to you. The beautiful car that you drive, the jewelry that you have, the clothing that you have, it's not going to be yours. But what you will have is the sadaqah that you gave in the way of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. So give. I thank you so much for attending today. It's a new idea among a lot of people, but some people, they know better, and we do better. Stay in your lane. Imams, do what you do. At the same time, recognize other people. If the Prophet, peace and blessing be upon him, can say, Inama ana bashar, I'm only human, what about the Imams to say, you know what? Let me look to those who have more than me in the area that they're qualified for. So give. I want to hear a good report. If I don't hear a good report, I may have to come to Sacramento. I may have to come visit you. I'm in Florida right now, but I'll get on that plane and I'll come right to Sacramento. So may Allah bless you, and thank you for allowing me to talk with you tonight for a few moments. Thank you. Assalamu alaikum.
Inspiring talk. It is always a pleasure to listen to you, and thank you again for your support of MAS-SSF tonight and all you do for the Muslim community. And I have to say, I also have lots of shoes, so I need to donate more of them. Thank you.
Thank you.
All right. So I have some good news. We went from 9,000 now to 17,000. So I would like to thank you for your generous donations. But we still have far to go. Our goal tonight is to raise 80,000. And while I know that's a lot, especially during COVID and when times are extremely hard, I do encourage you to please donate to MAS-SSF because we take care of our own. We take care of our community. MAS-SSF has been around since 2007, and it was all volunteer run, and it's still extremely dependent on volunteers. With the 5 programs we have, our counseling program, we do have a contract with the state, but we have to do a 25% match. Without that, it's hard to run our programs. With our communication, just recently, we were able to receive a 2-year contract with the county and Cal Mesa to be able to provide and bring in more workshops. Workshops that, as I shared with you, we have reached out over 3,000 people. Workshops that help in community members understand why it's important to seek services before it's too late, before it gets difficult to the point where you just don't know what to do because you're dealing with so much difficulty. Then we have 2 other programs, Al-Afia, Amala, which are not funded at all. So to be able to provide services to the youth, to have a place, a safe place to call and just talk to another youth when they are not able to turn to anyone, it is not funded right now. So we really need your support to be able to continue to provide this support line that has counselors that have over 30 hours of training. And keep in mind, these are counselors from the community who are youth, who are doing this as volunteers. So that way other youth have a place to call. I remember being raised, just being raised in the US since I was 9 years old. As you grow older here and as you realize that you're part of 2 systems, it's extremely hard to have anyone to talk to. And during those times, because you don't have the maturity, you need someone who you can reach out to, who understands you, who's from your religion, who's from your culture, who you could connect to during those hard times when you just don't have the life experience to be able to talk to someone else. And most importantly, before you go towards the wrong path. So please donate generously to help our youth have a place to call and to feel safe, as well as our Al-Afia program. It is a program for our respected elders. They are at home without much connection. This was true prior to COVID, and it's now even more true. And they are one of the most vulnerable communities during this difficult time. To provide and to bring Al-Afia programs for the community and for the seniors, and for individuals like Mukhtar and Holsam that you heard at the beginning, who look forward to the monthly, or used to look forward to the 5-hour program we had in person, where we provided them a workshop on a health topic, a delicious, healthy lunch, and activities, and lots of gifts from the community. They no longer can do that. So now they look forward to our monthly live webinars, where we try to provide gift cards, but it's not the same. And they are our vulnerable community. And we have no funding for this. So please donate generously. So that way MAS-SSF is able to bring you more services. And so with that, I want to go ahead and move on. And to our now next speaker, Khatra Aslami Templeman, who I've known actually for a long time. And I've admired her courage as well as her resilience, and representing the underserved community at the state level. Khatra Jan and her family fled the Afghan-Soviet War in 1980 and came to Fremont, California as refugees. She grew up on welfare and public assistance and was the only English-speaking member in her family. Khatra has navigated her own mental health challenges and the trauma of losing a child. Her passion is to collaborate with others to develop programs and initiatives to eliminate health inequities and mental health stigma and discrimination from society. Previously, Khatra was the Executive Director of Peers Envisioning and Engaging in Recovery Services. She currently is the Consumer Empowerment Manager of Alameda County Behavioral Health Care and a Governor appointee to the California Mental Health Oversight and Accountability Commission, also known as MAS-SSF, often referred to just the OEC. Khatra is the chair of the OEC Youth Innovation Planning Committee. She has a Bachelor of Science in Recreational Therapy from Cal State Hayward and lives in the Bay Area with her husband Jesse and her 10-year-old beautiful son Cyrus, who I had the pleasure of seeing many a times and look forward to seeing again. With that, I'm grateful to pass on the mic to Khatra to talk to us about how she is representing us at the state level. Thank you, Khatra Jan.
Thank you, Gulshan Jan, for the honor and privilege to speak today at the Muslim American Society Social Services Foundation event. Assalamu alaikum to my brothers and sisters and all supporters of MAS-SSF here today. As Gulshan shared, I've known you for several years, over, I think it was 2008 when we met, and I was very nervous sharing my story at a conference. And I remember you coming up to me and just reassuring me and letting me know how you felt about seeing another Afghan up there telling the story and trying to break the stigma around mental health. And I remember how big of an impact that made on me to see another sister up and active around addressing the mental health issues in our communities. So I really want to thank you for all the, influence you had in my life, in my journey, in this work of mental health. And again, it's such an honor to be here and support this important event. Your theme, keep families strong and keep families together. It's so extremely critical during this time right now in our country with COVID and the racial reckoning we have to face. And all our families are struggling and could use support. And it is like many at MAS-SSF, my family and I came to the United States as refugees. I was born in Afghanistan, and my family fled during the Soviet invasion of our country when I was 2 years old. It was a frightening time, and as many, it was just an extremely frightening time because my father was to be executed by the Soviets because he supported America. And by the grace of Allah, we were able to escape before my father was killed. We fled in fear of our lives. And in the process, we had lost our identity and our ability to be self-sufficient. We lost our land that had been in our family's home for hundreds of years. And we didn't get to immediately get to America. By the time I was 3 years old, America granted us asylum. And my parents and I feel fortunate that America provided us support at that time. The food stamps and the Section 8 housing was critical, because without that public assistance, I probably wouldn't be here speaking to you today. We needed all of that support. We needed all our community coming together. And it was our basic survival needs. I grew up in Fremont, California, which has the largest population of Afghans outside of Afghanistan. We call that home growing up. And having fled a war-torn country, my mother and father struggled and had serious physical and psychological challenges, and they struggled silently. Looking back, I wish my parents had access to programs like Al-Afia that you talked about for seniors. They needed to connect and hear from others, and others like them sharing that mental health issues are common and nothing to be ashamed of. And offering that support to one another like you do right now for our seniors in the community. I wish we had that then. I remember being 7 years old and the only English speaker in our family. And English, we had to speak Farsi, Dari, and at home there was no English. So, I ended up becoming the primary interpreter, their social worker, their healthcare educator, and navigator. All of that pressure was enormous, and no child should ever be placed in this position where knowing if you don't say the right thing, your family wouldn't get the housing, the food, the health care you need. And so with that, I struggled with depression and anxiety, and due to those pressures from a very young age. As a youth, I didn't have access to services like Amala Youth Hopeline for me to talk to trained Amala youth counselors like MAS-SSF offers now. Those services would have been so important and critical in my life then. Instead, I struggled alone, and I struggled many times. I didn't know where to go. I didn't know what was going to happen next. I now know that recovery is a journey, and that we have setbacks, but there's also hope, and that services that you provide at MAS-SSF, like the peer support services, the trainings that you offer, gives people hope, allows people to connect with one another and connect with not just anybody, but someone from your culture, your community, your religion, and you're feeling represented. That's what I needed growing up also. And I'm so excited to know that you are offering these services in our community. They are crucial in our lives. And like I said, recovery is a journey. And, in my journey, not too long after being involved in the mental health field and advocating and fighting the stigma, I too also struggled and faced another extreme devastating loss. In 2009, my husband and I lost our baby girl, Lila Yasmin. She fought to live for 3 days, and we were in the midst of hell. And it took prayer, our family, and the peer support to help us through that devastating experience. These were very difficult times, and despite all the challenges I have faced, my experiences have taught me to never give up and to know that there's hope and that people do get better, and that there are incredible community services like MAS-SSF that are there to support us and guide us, and how privileged we are to have leadership like yours at the helm, supporting our communities and advocating for us. Through my journey, I've learned that recovery is real. We can overcome our mental health challenges. There's no shame in dealing with them. They're actually more common than uncommon. That peer support and family support services are vital and effective. The research has shown they are making an impact in helping people improve their lives. And that when our ethnicity and our language and our culture is represented and respected through our community organizations like MAS-SSF, our families, our communities, we thrive. Today, I'm grateful that my husband and I have our son, Cyrus. He is the light in our lives. We thank Allah every day for what we have. I'm also very grateful to be able to give back to our community and to be here today. I get to, do this work through my day job at Alameda County Behavioral Healthcare Services as the Consumer Empowerment Manager. I came to Alameda County as a refugee, and now to work in the county as the consumer empowerment manager is such an honor, and to be able to uplift voices of all communities and talk about how mental health recovery does happen. I also, as you mentioned, am a commissioner at the Mental Health Services Oversight and Accountability Commission, and I've had the privilege to be the chair of the Youth Innovation Planning Committee, uplifting youth voices. The youth have focused on addressing mental health needs in schools and have been engaging other youth throughout California by hosting Youth Idea Labs. I believe they will be so excited to work with the youth at MAS-SSF and uplift the voice of Muslim youth throughout the country and the state. I'm passionate about really giving space to space and voice to the youth, because letting them know that their voice and their stories have power is uplifting. It's an honor to support MAS-SSF and your efforts in elevating the youth voice and their leadership. I've been so impressed with the trainings and the services that you all provide. I witness every day people improving mental health care through their voice, and our stories are making a difference. So I know all of us that have come here as refugees or immigrants and have uplifted our community, our Muslim community, everyone, we have a story to share, and that story has power and makes an impact on all that hear it. And believe me when I say that MAS-SSF is at the forefront to ensure our Muslim, refugee, and immigrant communities have a voice in increasing services, in the critical services that are needed, so that support for your organization is even more crucial. And I know that you're here for me and for all of our community members. Your team are the Muslim voice at the state level and represent the underserved community. You've been doing it for over 12 years. I think that seeing the team represent the lived experience of refugees and immigrants allows me to feel like I can connect with you, because we have a shared experience, and I can speak to you about what the challenges I may be facing, and I don't have to feel shame about that, because I know that the confidentiality is held high, professionalism is at the top, and the services are evidence-based. Peer support services are evidence-based services. That means the research has been proven that they help, and MAS-SSF has been providing those services from the beginning. And what better, organization to support? It's an honor to be able to, not only donate. I encourage more people to donate, to join, and support your efforts. We need to hear more voices from the Muslim community at the Mental Health Services Oversight and Accountability Commission meetings. And I know you've been doing a lot of work in trying to bring community members there. Our meetings are more accessible now through Zoom, and we hope to see more Muslim community members at these meetings speaking up. You've been advocating since 2007, and I know MAS-SSF has the expertise to prepare community members to speak at this public meeting. This is where stories of community members make the biggest impact, and we need to join not only in uplifting our voices, but also in busting the stigma about mental health in our community. We need to let people know that hope is there, and that the support is there, and that we have an incredible organization like MAS-SSF to be able to support our community and be able to spread the message that recovery is real. And I extremely appreciate the efforts to elevate the youth voice. And with that, I want to make sure you all get to hear a testimonial from Basit, a youth part of MAS-SSF's youth programs. Thank you.
My name is Basit Chaudhary. I am 24 years old. My pronouns are he, him, his. I am a US-born Pakistani American. I am also a biological science major. I graduated from Sac State. When I learned about this opportunity to join the Muslim Tay Advocacy program at MAS-SSF, I got really inspired and really excited because I saw this as an opportunity because this program has the potential to connect all the youth together. Like, I have a lot of connections with local MSAs. I'm involved in the masjid and other youth from different masajid. So I just saw this as a great opportunity. Let's connect MAS-SSF, the resources that they have, the education that they have, to our local mosque. I personally wanted to gain more skills. I wanted to become a better youth leader. And so I saw this as a great opportunity to advocate for the youth in my community. I learned a lot of things through the Tay program. I learned about how to talk to leadership, how it's really important to advocate for our youth. And just the organization itself has so much diversity, it has so much culture, and it's multilingual. There's so many peer counselors who are of different backgrounds. So it makes me be more mindful of our community, and how diverse it is, and how I should be more compassionate. And I think that has really helped me to become, a better person and a better Muslim. Tay stands for Transitional Age Youth, basically youth between the ages of 16 years old to 25 years old. It's really important to support the Tay youth, especially because, 16 to 25 years old, it's between the high school and college age when youth are just trying to transition into adulthood. And a lot of things happen in that time frame where, identity issues, challenges with families, things like that. There's a lot of problems that really hit at that age when youth are trying to become more independent. They need to know that their thoughts, their opinions, their input, it's very valuable. They have a lot of creative ideas, they have a lot of potential, and if we restrict their voices, how are they going to become, independent adults growing on, later into life? We basically did a virtual town hall with collaboration with the California Youth Empowerment Network. So we basically learned from them how to basically talk with leadership, right, to make change happen. So us youth of MAS-SSF, the Muslim Tay Advocacy Program, we led this town hall to destigmatize the concept of mental health in the Muslim community. And also we wanted to establish a youth wellness center. I think a lot of youth need, people to talk to help them, to guide them. And for example, the Amala Hopeline, I think is a great service, right? Because youth can call that whenever, whenever the timings that are there. But they can call this number and a peer counselor is just waiting there for them, and they'll get a quick response right there and then to help them with whatever situation, whatever problems they may be going through. I really think that people who donate to this organization will find that investing in it is really beneficial for their youth, and I think it's very valuable and important for all of the youth to basically know about this. I think the main issue here is one that not much is known about MAS-SSF in the Muslim community, and I think that if they knew that this service was here, a lot of youth would be using it.
Thank you, Khatarjan, for your representation over all these years to stand up for the voice of the Muslim community. We're lucky to have you. I also want to thank Basit for his representation and support and commitment as a youth to bring forward the youth voice in our community. As for those still with us tonight, thank you so much for your commitment to continue to be part of our program tonight. We truly appreciate your support. And with that, I would like to just make a personal appeal to you. As I was listening to Khatra and how she explained her journey, her struggle, her lived experience, I was trying to figure out, is it about to bring me to tears because I'm just exhausted? in preparing for this along with my amazing staff, or is it because it connected to, and I'm sure it connected with you as a refugee, as an immigrant? When you are from those countries and you try to make another place your home, the challenges you're going through are huge. But then as you continue on with life, more challenges come. And recently, since 2014, we've had so many refugees that have come in. Sacramento is now officially the top city federally that is receiving the most arrivals from Afghanistan, Syria, and Iraq. And so I would encourage you to please support MAS-SSF so we can provide them the services that they need to be able to sustain. It's, as Khatra stated, the struggles that she has endured are for those refugees who have been here for the last 30 plus years, like myself. But the ones who have just come here, they're just starting that out. And here's the thing. While I cannot sit here and tell you that I was raised in back home, I could tell you as a refugee, as a 9-year-old when I came here, the struggles start from there and they don't ever stop. That's the sad part of it, is that it only gets more difficult. And eventually after 30 years, I finally feel at home with MAS-SSF and having these services. And most people ask me, why do you come to work every day? Why are you so excited about this? It's because finally, when you have services and people who represent you, who understand your journey, then you finally feel whole. Otherwise, throughout, you're trying to figure out where's your identity, where do you belong, what challenge are you going to take on day to day. And of course, life in itself is difficult. But then when you're from a different country, a country like Afghanistan, who's still in war now 40 years and continues, people have been raised there and have grown up and gone older there, are now here since 2014 and still are coming, and they are struggling. I mentioned earlier in my talk that 2 months ago there was a shooting that occurred. It shattered not just four families. It was the shooter and 3 other families, but it shocked the whole community here because we know where that came from. And the sad part is we are afraid that it will continue. And so with that personal appeal, I encourage you to please donate so MAS-SSF can provide the support that is needed for our refugee sisters and brothers. We have went on to raise now $21,500, and so I would like to give you to thank you for your donations, and I encourage you to continue to donate so we can go ahead and provide services that are critically needed for our community. Thank you. Now, moving on, we have another special guest and the last speaker of the evening, who has been a supporter of MAS-SSF for many years when it came to representing the underserved community in California, including the Muslim community, as the ambassador for the underserved communities. And when I'm talking about underserved communities, I want to make it clear, I'm talking about Native Americans, African Americans, Pacific Islanders, and LGBTQ community. We belong in all of these groups. And so we are part of the struggle of being in the underserved community, not having enough services. And so tonight's speaker, Stacey Hermaro, has been there for us to represent us and make sure that all these communities that I just mentioned work together to be able to tell the state and the county what services are needed for them and how they can be provided support. I remember meeting Stacey, I believe it was in 2009, and I was so impressed, and I continue to be very impressed with the work she does, as well as the the energy, and I'm inspired how she's able to continue to represent us. You will see her at the OAC meetings that Khatra is a part of, and she speaks without any fear and represents us. And I have always looked up to her in terms of what it means to have that strength, a pillar of strength for our community. And with that, Stacy, I would like to just give a little bit of background before we move on to Stacy. She has an MSW and has been a mental health advocate for many years while working with Rusty Seelix, co-author of Proposition 63 Mental Health Services Act. She had a diverse group of advocates form the Racial and Ethnic Mental Health Disparities Coalition, otherwise known as REMCO, a program of Mental Health America of California, MHAC. In 2010, Stacy became the director of REMCO when it was awarded the statewide contract for the California MHC Multicultural Coalition, a component of Phase 1 of the California Reducing Disparities Project of Proposition 63. Before joining the MHAC, she was the project director for SAMHSA-funded Children's Systems of Care grant in Sacramento County. And prior to this, she was the first full-time lobbyist for Disability Rights California, the designated federally funded protection and advocacy organization in the state. She served as a legislative staff to former Assembly Speaker Willie L. Brown and former State Senator Richard Palacio. She is proud to have worked with the housing and mental health advocates on passing legislation that brought California into compliance with the Federal Fair Housing Amendment Act of 1988, protecting people with disabilities from housing discrimination. Stacy has also served as Director of Legislative Affairs, Government Relations for the California chapter of National Association of Social Workers. She has served on several boards of directors, including her term as Vice President of the Board of NASW, President of the California chapter of NASW, and the board member of NARPA, the National Association for Rights Protection and Advocacy. As you can see, Stacy has a wealth of experience and reasons why I've always been so inspired. With that, I would love to have Stacy take the mic. Thank you, Stacy.
Thanks, Gulshan. Remind me to shorten my bio. Good evening, everyone. It is such an honor and privilege for me to be here today to participate in this fundraiser. My organization, REMCO, which I will tell you more about in a minute, and I personally owe so much to the Muslim American Social Services Foundation. I was delighted when Gulshan asked me to speak. But first, let me tell you a little bit about myself. I'm a proud Sansei, or third-generation Japanese American. My grandparents immigrated to this country early in the last century, and as a child, I did grow up happily in a multi-generational family with my father's parents in a small town called Lodi. Maybe you've heard of it. My family and my community's experience, both good and bad, have made me feel close to the Muslim community because of what many in your community have gone through. All my parents, grandparents, uncles, and aunts were put into relocation centers, not for any illegal activity during World War II, but because people from Japan bombed Pearl Harbor. I was very worried about people from the Muslim community after 9/11, and I was proud to be part of the Japanese American Citizens League of Florence, which took active measures to support and defend the Muslim community at that time. Also, growing up, I admit I didn't feel a lot of blatant discrimination for being Asian, but I did feel a lot of discrimination for being Buddhist. So I know what it is like to be someone who worships differently in this country. I'm a social worker by profession and also proud of my past work in the legislature. But now I am director of REMCO, the Racial and Ethnic Mental Health Disparities Coalition. I know that's a long name, so that's why we call it REMCO. REMCO was formed in 2007 and was the first statewide organization to focus on advocating for racial, ethnic, and cultural communities to receive equitable and appropriate mental health services, including prevention services. MAS-SSF was one of our earliest member organizations, and certainly over the years, individuals from MAS-SSF have consistently been some of the hardest working, most dependable, and most giving of our REMCO members. MAS-SSF is very much a part of REMCO's success, and I'd like to thank good reputation in Sacramento and in the mental health communities all around the state. REMCO is very much like the Muslim community in that our membership is very diverse and includes people from so many different races and ethnicities, as well as other cultural communities such as the LGBT community. This is a plus because we can collaborate with each other, give each other strength, and help other communities that are not being adequately served. REMCO was in response to a proposition that was passed in 2004 by the people of California called Proposition 63. Many people don't know this, but when Proposition 63 passed, it placed a new tax on millionaires, 1% of their gross income. That now brings in over $2 billion each year into the state coffers to go to public mental health programs. Yes, that might seem like a lot, but because there was so little public money going towards mental health services before that, and because of the population of California is over 39 million, it still isn't nearly enough. During the early days after Proposition 63 was passed, and still today, MAS-SSF was the most significant voice for families and individuals from Muslim communities at policy tables and meetings at the state level. MAS-SSF, along with REMCO, advocated when new programs were being designed and funding was being distributed, that these new programs should be able to serve people in languages other than English, and that there were many refugee and immigrant communities that would require extra outreach and different approaches in order to provide mental health services that were appropriate and sensitive to their cultures. MAS-SSF consistently spoke up and also served to educate people in the mental health community about the Muslim community. I'm sure that many stereotypes were dispelled and that government as well as nonprofit organizations may have considered outreach to people from the Muslim community specifically only because individuals from MAS-SSF were willing to attend meetings and advocate for this. I must mention not only our esteemed moderator, Ms. Gulshan Yousafzai, but also Ms. Laurel Ben-Hamida, a founder and current board member of MAS-SSF, as well as a long-time board member of REMCO. Laurel has given countless hours, as well as her time every week to advocate for Muslims communities within the larger mental health community. She and Gulshan have been your advocates and stellar representatives for so many years, probably never getting the recognition that they should. I can honestly say that all the work that REMCO has done would not be as powerful or as effective without the help of Laurel and Gulshan and MAS-SSF. One of the most significant programs funded under Prop 63 is a statewide project called the California Reducing Disparities Project. This is a project that is funded at over $70 million that REMCO and MAS-SSF have been a part of since it began in 2009. Phase one of this project was basically a planning phase because such a complex and new statewide project could not afford to waste money by providing services to our communities in ways that were not effective and did not work. Phase two began a couple of years ago and involved grants being awarded to outstanding local nonprofit organizations from the African American, Asian Pacific Islander, Latino, Native American, and LGBT communities. We were all so proud when MAS Social Services Foundation was one of the 7 organizations under the Asian Pacific Islander Group to be awarded a California Reducing Disparities grant. It was a truly competitive situation, and it was a great, great honor to be one of the California Reducing Disparities Project awardees, and so congratulations to MAS-SSF. The program that MAS-SSF operates under this grant is called Shifa for Today, Peer Counseling. And along with community education programs, they help the community understand why it is important to seek services early on when challenges first start. After my remarks, you will hear from an amazing youth named Warsin, who will highlight how much she has learned as a youth by volunteering at MAS-SSF at age 15. It had a huge impact on her. She is a Somalian youth who will discuss the importance of MAS-SSF and counseling program and the benefits that she's received. In closing, I would like to say, please donate tonight to MAS-SSF. MAS-SSF should be supported because it has been the Muslim voice at the state level to represent underserved communities for over 12 years since 2007. They are the only agency with a team of experts who represent all the cultures that exist in the Muslim community, including the LGBT community. They understand all the languages spoken by those in your community. Most importantly, the MAS-SSF team consists of refugees and immigrants that have lived experience that are from war-torn countries. Also, they understand the challenges the Muslim community faces in the United States. MAS-SSF has been working in collaboration with many nonprofits, with the state and country and the county for over 12 years, including my organization, REMCO, being one of many. Again, please donate generously and pledge as I have done tonight. Thank you. And now let's hear from Warsin.
Assalamu alaikum. My name is Warsin Ali, and I'm 20 years old, and I grew up in the city of Sacramento. I volunteered with MAS-SSF for 2 to 3 years, starting at age 15, and worked for a couple of months as the administrative assistant. I am now studying biopsychology and minoring in poverty, inequality, and social justice at the University of California in Santa Barbara. MAS-SSF is so meaningful to me because I was able to directly work with and build up the community that I love and grew up in. I say that in addition to the leadership, collaborative, and organizational skills I gained in my time working with MAS-SSF, what's most meaningful is that I discovered the importance of community education in mental health work. With programs targeted specifically for our elderly community, the Muslim youth, and peer-to-peer counseling, MAS-SSF is able to provide so many with incredible resources for the wellness of our people. I think MAS-SSF has done an incredible job at making mental health care accessible to a number of people in our community who may have been too afraid to seek the services that they need in non-Muslim dominated spaces, or perhaps who may not have realized that they needed services because of cultural stigmatization. I attribute a lot of my interest in cultural sensitive mental health work to the work that MAS-SSF has done for our community. It has helped me realize not only what is important to me personally, but has shaped the work that I want to do independently in the future. I'm so grateful for how my work at MAS-SSF has shaped me to grow as a person and helped me realize how important and necessary community-based work is. MAS-SSF is a pillar in our community. With continued financial support, MAS-SSF will be able to continue developing projects and programs that are necessary to our elderly, our youth, and so many others in our community.
Dizzy, for all you've done to have the underserved community, to be representative of our community, and for everything, for all your great work that you've done. I would also like to thank Warsin Ali for her commitment and support of MAS-SSF since the age of 15, and wish her all the best in her future endeavors as she is heading to become one of our representatives in the mental health field. I remember when I started at MAS-SSF in 2014, a year after that, Warsan was one of our volunteers, and she would continuously come in and volunteer. And she was extremely committed, and I'm so proud of her to see that now she is at Santa Barbara and she is moving towards working in the mental health field and representing our community. It is one of the examples of how MAS-SSF is able to support youth, and she has made MAS-SSF very proud. With that, I would like to just let you know at this point we have raised $22,000 tonight, and like I said, although our goal was $80,000, I still would like to thank you for all your support, all your generosity, and supporting MAS-SSF and in believing in MAS-SSF. I encourage you to continue to join our future events and be involved and our work that we're doing to be able to help the community heal. Stacy talked about Proposition 63 earlier in her talk, and just want to highlight that just a little more to tell you the importance of what is happening there in the state and the county that I believe our community is possibly not aware of, and how much impact we could have if we just take a while to understand what this means to us. And as she alluded to, in 2004, this bill was passed. And what that means is every person who becomes a millionaire after 1% of their taxable income is put into a pot of funds. And we all know California has many, many millionaires, right? And once all that money is put together yearly, it is distributed throughout all the 58 counties. And it goes by population. And clearly in Sacramento, we have a diverse community and a population that has high numbers of individuals from the Muslim community. In 2017, Arabic became a threshold language in Sacramento. What does that mean? Basically now Sacramento County is to serve this community with all services, all needs that they have. And I would not be surprised if one of our other community languages become the next language to become a threshold language. I bring this to your attention because the effort, the support, the funds, they're all there at in California, in Sacramento. The capital is right here. And MAS-SSF has been there for the Muslim community since 2007. And I personally, in my career since 2004, have been at the forefront to represent our community, to, you know, when these big decisions are being made. And I encourage you to connect with MAS-SSF. As Stacy alluded to earlier, we have the expertise to train you to be able to speak at the legislature, at the OAC meetings, at the county. And that is really where major change happens. That's where you're able to tell your story. And given that that proposition has passed, the county and the state are to support you. It is your right to be able to go to those meetings, give public comment, and make change happen. And when you make change happen, the system changes, policy changes. And what does that mean? Money comes towards your community. And so I encourage you to join MAS-SSF's youth advocacy group. Also, in terms of not just youth, adults, we also train adults to be able, above 18, above 25, to be able to go ahead and advocate on behalf of the community. So I just wanted to share that with you in terms of letting you know the services are there, the money is there, the support is there, but we need together as a Muslim community be able to connect with MAS-SSF and go together to these meetings to be able to make that change that we want to see for our youth. And so I just wanted to make that personal appeal to you. And I would like to go ahead and just end the night. I know we are over about 17 minutes. And for those who are still with us, I appreciate your time and your commitment to listening to us. We had a long night with wonderful speakers. And I do want to thank you for all your time. And in closing, I just want to say a few more words. And that is when I first started working for MAS-SSF in 2014. I saw amazing potential and passionate volunteers who dedicated their time and money to lay the foundation for what you see today. It took a long time to get here. We are hoping to accomplish so much more in the upcoming years. And please understand that MAS-SSF has been volunteer-run since 2007. When I came in, there was just donations. And then finally in 2014, when I started here at 10 hours a week, now we have 10 staff. Half of them are part-time, half are full-time. And we have 2 grants and 2 programs funded. But one of them still needs to match that funding. Otherwise, we still have to raise funds by ourselves. And the other 2 programs, Al-Afia for seniors, Amala Youth Warm Line, Support Line, and now a new program, the Muslim Advocacy Program. They are still needing funding. And I hope that you can support MAS-SSF moving forward and in making these programs also much more available to our community, because we all know there is a need for it. We all know that in our hearts. And so our future depends on the generosity of the community we serve. You see, to keep families together, every single person in the family unit must be supported and cared for. From grandparents like Mukhtar that you heard at the beginning, and the beautiful Hosam, to the parents like Heba, our peer counselor, to so many others, to the youth like Basit and Pashtana and Warsan. Supporting the family has a ripple effect, not just in your local community, but in the entire Ummah. Before we end tonight, I'd like you to reflect on this. You have in your hands right now the opportunity to facilitate a lifetime of healing for generations to come. Don't walk away from an opportunity to change someone's life. Thank you for taking the time to attend our first ever virtual fundraiser tonight. You mean so much to us, and we hope we can count on your support for years to come. Thank you. Have a good night.